2025 has been a year of relentless disasters, natural and human-driven, that have shaken our world to its core. From searing heat waves to devastating earthquakes, these events have tested our resilience and exposed our vulnerabilities. In this video, we'll examine the top global disasters of the year, exploring their human impact and the urgent lessons they offer. Each catastrophe is a stark reminder of our shared responsibility and the need for collective action. Let's look at what happened and what we must learn to face the future. Europe's summer of 2025 was defined by a brutal, record-shattering heat wave. Cities like Seville and Rome saw temperatures soar past 48 degrees Celsius, turning urban centers into ovens. Hospitals overflowed with heatstroke cases, and thousands lost their lives, many in homes unprepared for such extremes. Nights brought no relief, compounding the crisis and pushing bodies to the brink. Scientists confirmed this was not a fluke, but a preview of Europe's new climate reality. Wildfires raged, crops failed, and rivers dried up, crippling economies and forcing mass evacuations. The heat wave exposed the urgent need for climate adaptation, resilient infrastructure, and better urban planning. Europe's deadly summer was a wake-up call. Survival now depends on how quickly we adapt. The cost, in lives and livelihoods, was simply too high to ignore. In April, a magnitude 7.1 earthquake struck Myanmar's Sagaing region, devastating entire villages overnight. Ancient pagodas crumbled, roads split, and communication lines snapped, isolating thousands. Over 5,000 lives were lost, with tens of thousands injured and hundreds of thousands left homeless. Rescue efforts were hampered by political instability and shattered infrastructure. Makeshift camps overflowed, and the risk of disease soared. The quake exposed deep vulnerabilities in a region already struggling with hardship. It underscored the urgent need for stronger building codes and disaster preparedness. For survivors, the struggle to rebuild has only just begun. The 2025 monsoon season brought catastrophic floods to Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. Rivers burst their banks, submerging entire districts and wiping out villages in minutes. Millions were displaced and thousands perished, many unable to escape the rising waters. Farmland and livestock were lost, triggering a looming food crisis. Stagnant waters fueled outbreaks of cholera and dengue, overwhelming medical teams. The disaster exposed the vulnerability of rural communities and the deep inequalities of climate impact. Traditional flood defenses failed, highlighting the need for climate-resilient infrastructure and better early warning systems. For millions, the floodwaters will recede, but the scars will last for years. South Asia's reckoning with climate extremes has arrived. California's wildfires in 2025 set a new standard for destruction and economic loss. Fueled by drought, fierce winds, and aging infrastructure, firestorms swept across the state, consuming over 2 million acres. Entire towns were evacuated, skies turned orange, and air quality plummeted for weeks. The direct and indirect costs soared into the tens of billions, crippling agriculture, tourism, and insurance markets. The fires exposed the limits of current strategies and the urgent need for aggressive forest management and resilient infrastructure. California's disaster was a warning. Climate inaction now comes with a staggering price tag. The debate has shifted from if to how we adapt, and how fast. The old playbook is failing, the stakes are higher than ever. The cost is measured in dollars, health, and the future of entire communities. South Korea faced a devastating 1-2 punch in 2025 wildfires in spring, then record floods in summer. Fires ravaged Gangwon province, threatening ancient temples and displacing thousands. As the nation reeled, torrential monsoon rains triggered deadly floods and landslides, overwhelming even Seoul's advanced infrastructure. Hundreds lost their lives and tens of thousands were left homeless, many twice over. The back-to-back disasters exposed vulnerabilities in both rural and urban areas. South Korea's ordeal was a stark lesson in how climate extremes can compound, amplifying devastation. The nation now debates how to adapt and prepare for overlapping crises. In a new climate era, resilience means expecting the unexpected. In July, northern China faced historic flooding as a stalled typhoon unleashed a year's worth of rain in days. To protect Beijing, authorities diverted floodwaters into Hebei province, sacrificing towns and farmland to save the capital. Hundreds of thousands were evacuated, losing homes and livelihoods overnight. The disaster overwhelmed China's disaster response and ignited debate over the cost of protecting cities at the expense of rural communities. The event exposed the limits of engineered solutions and the painful choices climate extremes now demand. Northern China's flood was a stark warning. Even the most prepared nations face monumental challenges. The scars, physical and social, will shape the region for years. Climate volatility is rewriting the rules of survival. In September, a shallow 6.9 earthquake rocked Tibet, triggering deadly landslides across the remote plateau. Villages were cut off, roads buried, and hundreds lost their lives, many swept away by collapsing mountainsides. Rescue efforts were hampered by altitude, weather, and destroyed infrastructure. Survivors faced isolation, cold, and a desperate wait for help. The quake highlighted the extreme vulnerability of Himalayan communities and the urgent need for resilient infrastructure. Scientists warn that even greater quakes are possible in this volatile region. For Tibet, the disaster was a harsh reminder of nature's power and the need for preparedness. Late 2025 brought relentless rains to East Africa, turning expected showers into a regional catastrophe. Rivers overflowed, millions were displaced, and hundreds lost their lives, many in already fragile communities. Farmland was destroyed, worsening food insecurity and pushing millions closer to famine. Outbreaks of cholera and malaria swept through crowded camps, overwhelming aid efforts. The floods turned drought-stricken areas into disaster zones, multiplying existing crises. East Africa's experience showed how climate change intensifies every vulnerability. The urgent need for climate adaptation, better water management, early warning, and resilient agriculture has never been clearer. For millions, the flood was not just a disaster, but a fight for survival. The disasters of 2025 reveal a world under immense stress, where climate extremes are the new normal. Yet amid the devastation, we see resilience, compassion, and the will to rebuild. These events are interconnected, demanding global cooperation and urgent action. Knowledge is the first step. Share, subscribe, and stay informed. The challenges are immense, but so is our capacity for innovation and solidarity. The work of building a safer, more resilient world must continue, now more than ever.